So I don't know if this will be worth it or not, but we'll see what happens. Might as well give it a shot, right? Let's go.
If you have ever tried to hire a freelance professional editor to work with you on a book, you may know that there are multiple types of editing. And so in this video, I'm going to break down the 4 main types of editing that you can get for a novel and explain to you exactly what they are and what you should expect from an editor doing this particular service. I will also mention some other types of editing and critiques that people sometimes charge for at the end of this video that are not covered in these main 4 categories of editing. So stick around if you are interested in finding out what those are. I am a self-published author and have hired editors to do each of these 4 different types of editing in the past. So I'll
just want details.
A little
just
bit
give
about
me
my
details.
experiences and whether I think that they're really worth it. The first type of editing that we're going to talk about, developmental editing, focuses on the big picture of the work, and the last
developmental editing. All right.
type of editing that we're going to talk about focuses on the very minute details of the work. The focus of each of them gets narrower as we go down the list. So if you were to get each of these types of editing done on a manuscript, this is the order that you would do them in, the order of the video. So the first type of editing that we're going to talk about today is called developmental editing. Developmental editing is focused on the big picture of your novel. A developmental editor is going to be focused on giving you feedback on your plot, your characters, your pacing, your theme, the general clarity of your ideas, what your story is about, and whether your book tells the story as effectively as it can. Developmental editor does not care if your commas are in the right place, if your grammar is correct. All they care about is your story and how you've put it together. So naturally, this type of editing is often the first type of editing that you get done on a book. Feedback from a developmental editor can lead to really big rewrites and rethinking of the work. So if you want to get a developmental editor to work with you on your story, you want to do that before you really spend much time digging into the prose, because everything might shift around after you have to revise it. You may want to consider getting a developmental editor if you are stuck on a particular element of your story, if you think that you're on the right track but just something isn't sitting right with you, if you want to self-publish the book and you're feeling
just taking my own personal notes in my head over like the different style of videos that we have, and definitely having sections. I missed a deleted comment. Damn, my timing. Just another bot. Just another bot trying to tell me my stream's a piece of shit. I know it's a piece of shit, dude. And I know you can't polish a turd, but we're trying anyways, okay? It is what it is. Is there anything wrong with learning how to polish by polishing a turd? I mean, we don't care about the end product, we just care about the skill itself. False Mythbusters did polish a turd. Depends on what type of turd, I think. But like having the segment set up so it's like it has like text for the ability for someone to take notes on the video. I think that's actually really important for like like if you're producing an educational video. I think having notes, like the text written out so people can take notes is like super important. So, unfortunate, because it's literally not giving me enough time to like get the notes down. I'm kind of just spamming everything out. And it doesn't feel like I'm taking notes, it feels like I'm transcribing.
feeling good about it, but just want to get another pair of eyes on it. If you want to query out to agents and you want to make the investment to strengthen,
like a list of notes to take, so you just need to fill in the details instead. I told Mike who cheese Harry. Welcome back, good sir. I told my friend that when I was a child, I used to enjoy making sandcastles with my grandfather, and he said that sounds really nice. And then I told him, yes, that was till my mother made me put back the urn on the mantle. I love it, Mike. That's amazing. That's fucking amazing. True. Oh. The innocence of a child. So a topic list. Then you add your own shorthand to remember what those topics were. I just mean anything in general. I mean, sure, that's a good strategy to use, Sean. But just anything. Just like thinking now, like not having the text and being like, yeah, it feels like I'm transcribing, not copying or taking notes, right?
Strengthen your book by getting another pair of eyes on it to workshop it with you. If you haven't written very many books before and you want to improve your craft as a writer, I've worked with a developmental editor twice on 2 of my books. I worked with a developmental editor on the first 2 books of my 5-book series. I was starting a series and had never written a series before, and I really wanted to set the series up as effectively as I could, and that's why I worked with a developmental editor on book 1. And then with book 2, I'd never written a sequel to anything before, and so I worked with a developmental editor because I kept getting really stuck. And the feedback that I got from working with that developmental editor really helped put things into perspective for me and helped me write a sequel that I feel was even stronger than the first book. I chose not to work with one on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th books because at that point I knew the characters so well already and knew where I wanted to take the story that I didn't feel the need to work with a developmental editor. I spent close to $2,000 each time I worked with the developmental editor, and so it's a substantial investment up front, which is why I chose not to.
Raymond, welcome, brother.
I felt pretty confident in what I was going to write.
Hey, Raymond, check it out. Check it out, bro. Check it out. Okay. Go into the chat and click on your channel points, bro. We fucking did it. You now have all of the options that Smokey had. And you will soon have more options than Smokey ever did. And they all work! So yeah. You would make a great developmental editor since you care about the idea more than spelling or punctuations. I guess that's true. Because it's to me, it's all about how well did your idea come across. And that seems to be what this editor makes sure that, like, you did. So, yeah, I could definitely see that, Sean. Another avenue, right? You get to the point where it's like people are willing to give you their work, and then eventually you get to the point where you get so many people giving you their work that you have to make like some sort of barrier to entry, which is usually a paywall. It's like, yeah, for like 10 cents, I'll read and work, like, you know, give you feedback on your work. And it's like, and then you just keep increasing that price in order to narrow the amount of people, right? Because you can't read everyone's. So if you've already got more people, like an overwhelming amount of people, like let's say you have like an hour and a half to read and it is 10 minutes per one, you got like 20 people giving you shit. It's like, oh man, that's way too much. You get a $50 fee for each dev edit you do before you know it. Yeah, exactly. That's building of momentum, right? And then at some point you could just, you know, there are definitely 2 types of editors and writers who follow the same path. Form and substance. That is how it's written and what you wrote about. Very true, Raymond. Because, and it's like, I guess another thing that's like, one thing you have to be like good at as an editor is being like a jack of all trades with the genres, and not like, oh, I only write this genre, right? And I pretty much write every type of genre because I try to change the genres up with the short stories, right? So knowing across genre stuff, that's important. Oh, and I had an idea today, guys. I don't want to do this without like actual feedback, but what do you guys think about adding a section into the stream where if we don't have someone's work to read, we read a chat chosen chapter of a book. And then based upon how many people vote in chat, you know, we could have like 2 or 3 books going at the same time, depending upon who's in here and stuff. And we could choose like different book series, and we just read a chapter a day. Because I still want to have like a reading section, but we haven't been getting anyone presenting their work. So it's kind of been a gap in the stream recently. So I've been thinking about how do I fill that gap without eliminating that process. And it's like, well, if we don't have anyone, we could have an extra piece. I actually have something in mind for you, a short story you would totally love. Awesome, Raymond Dow. I would love that. And people like I don't know if people know this besides Raymond, but or Levi, you don't have to, like, if you want me to read something, it doesn't have to be something that you wrote. It could be anything. It could be an excerpt from something that you like. It could be a poem that you like. It could be like Raymond Dow, where he's just giving me like lectures to read. I'm guessing based upon either his philosophy or like, you know, challenging his philosophy or something like that. I don't know his reasoning for it, but we're always getting these essays, which I really enjoy reading. So don't feel like you can only give me stuff that you wrote. If you have something that you like that you want me to read, just post it in the Discord and I'll read it. I don't care where it came from. All I care about is do you care if it's read? That's what's important.
Types of editing to invest in.
Oh, and Raymond Dow, since you weren't here yesterday, we added a new spot on the Discord. Actually, we added 2. So we have a pictures section where you can post your pictures, and then we have the Writing Unleashed community where you can post all of your like wherever you've posted stuff. So like your Royal Road, Scribble Hub, Amazon, like, you know, wherever your writing is, just you can drop it in there.
Garbage. I don't want these L channel
points. True. Can really see the detail in the amount of trash there, eh? I haven't cleaned my room since that day, guys. I don't remember what day that was, but whatever day that was the last time I cleaned my room. Doesn't dump all my points, though. But then you can just keep doing it, Sean. I don't know. I don't have a way to dump all of your points. That's the closest I have.
I feel that the developmental edit is the most important one. As a reader, I will often overlook typos and small grammatical errors if the story is awesome and I'm really invested in the characters and in what's going on in the book. So if you aren't fully confident in your story, I highly recommend investing in a developmental edit.
Well, I'm super confident in my story,
your book, because a good developmental editor can really...
But then again, it's the can I present the story? So it's like I may be confident in the story in my head, but am I confident with the story on the page? That's a different question.
Really bring your book to the next level. The second type of editing is more specific than the developmental edit, and this is the line edit. While developmental editing is focused on the plot and the structure of the story, line editing is focused only on the prose. The job of a line editor is to improve the style, tone, word choice, and structure of your sentences and paragraphs. Line editing refines your writing to enhance the overall readability and coherence of your writing. A good line editor improves your style, your word choice, your tone, your sentence structure, your paragraph structure, fixes any awkward or clunky phrasing, smooths everything out, makes sure the tone is consistent, just to polish everything so it's easier to read. The line edit is much more involved than the next two types of editing that we're going to talk about. A line editor will go in and change things and move things around and offer suggestions for improvement, and they're going to focus on every single sentence and word choice in your book. I work with a line editor on every book that I publish. I've been working with my freelance line editor for 5 years now, and he has worked on every single book in the They Stay series, so he knows the characters really well, and he also does serve as somewhat of a developmental editor, pointing out issues that he finds when he reads the book, offering suggestions for ideas and things that could be improved. I couldn't recommend him highly enough. He is a fantastic editor, and I
This is
work
all
on
blab
every
filler.
single book that I write with him. So if you're interested in finding a really, really great line editor,
I just want techniques and things. Yeah, I know. We're just skipping through
developmental element of
skipping through the bullshit because she's not talking about anything.
Storytelling, but Perry is, and he's fantastic, so definitely check him out if you're looking for a line editor. Line editing.
Perfect time to take a toke. That's not a small note. It's a big note. I want small notes. Get all the small guys first. I think I have a translation of the short story somewhere in my shit. Alright, we are back. Hopefully you can find it, Raymond Dow. I hate trying to find shit. I have way too much shit, like, spread out. It all needs to be in one place, but it isn't.
Usually comes after developmental editing. So if you choose not to pursue developmental editing, you would probably go straight to line editing. If you think of all the different tiers of editing as being on like an upside down triangle, you have like developmental editing at the top, then line editing, and then the more specific types of editing. So the next type of editing is copy editing. Copy editing is focused only on your spelling, grammar, and syntax. Just making sure that you are as accurate as possible and use the rules of the language as accurately as possible. Copy editing is a very detailed line-by-line check for grammar accuracy. It also checks for accuracy, making sure that all of your facts are true, like your place names are right, the consistency of your descriptions is right. So if you describe one character as having blue eyes, you don't describe them as having green eyes in the next chapter. Usually copy editors will work using one specific style guide, so either like the APA or the Chicago, or maybe a publisher will have their own specific style guide, or if you as a self-published author have your own style guide, you can send that to a copy editor and they'll work within that framework. A copy editor will not be trying to make any stylistic or structural changes to a book. They are only trying to make sure that the language used is accurate. Copy editing usually comes after line editing, because by the time that you want a copy editor, you've already worked on the prose to try and smooth it out and make it readable. So copy editing comes after, because that's going to be focused just on making it as accurate and correct as possible. And the fourth type of editing, which is the most specific type of editing, is proofreading. Proofreading focuses solely on correcting surface level errors, any overlooked typos, spelling mistakes, punctuation mistakes, formatting problems. It's not really worried about grammar or syntax or accuracy or checking any facts. It's literally only focused on fixing any last-minute little errors like typos that could slip through into the final product. The goal of proofreading is just to make sure that the manuscript is as error-free as possible, and this is the last type of editing that is done to a book before it's published. So each of those types of edits...
How are we only like halfway through the video if we've already got all 4 of these out?
Editing focusing on the large-scale edits, and proofreading focused on the very small-scale edits. The scope starts wide and then narrows over time. Each one of these types of edits can run you a couple of $1,000s. Proofreading is the cheapest.
That's why we use AI, guys!
Charging maybe around $1,000.
Because it's
Depending
free.
on who you go with, you can find cheaper proofreaders.
I mean, for the actual book, like I would
with
probably find an
developmental
actual
and line
person if
editing
I was gonna
being the
actually
most
publish it.
costly
But
because they take the most
yeah, I'm
time.
gonna do that for
Logically
short
speaking,
stories.
if
Yeah,
you had to
fucking
spend
right.
$2,000 on 4 different editors to work on a book every single time you published it, that is an astronomically high upfront expense. I personally can't handle an $8,000 upfront charge for every single book that I publish. So I don't get each one of these types of editors for every book that I publish, but I always do get it professionally edited. So another type of editing that you may see advertised is what's called a manuscript assessment. This is also sometimes called an editorial assessment. And essentially what it is an editor will read through your book and kind of write like a 1-page edit letter, just assessing the main parts of your book and giving you bigger picture feedback on the general character, pacing, conflict, and like identify some target areas for improvement. This is not going to be as in-depth as a developmental edit. However, it will be cheaper. This can be a great first step to get if you don't feel like you're ready for a developmental editor, but you want another like expert pair of eyes on the manuscript to highlight some ways that
I'm gonna say this right now, guys. I don't know about this video.
Could be a really great idea. Another way that you can get feedback, and this is not edited, like this is not a type of editor, but you can work with beta readers. Beta readers are readers who will read a rougher draft of your manuscript and provide feedback on the general structure, pacing, like things they liked, didn't like, and like answer questions that you pose to them. But it's a very informal relationship. They're not editors, they're not editing your book, they are just casual readers and fans of the book that will give you some feedback on things that they really enjoyed to better help you.
That's what I look forward to you guys doing.
They ultimately will enjoy more. But
what do you guys like? What should I write? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. So that's why it's better for what you guys want, because it doesn't matter to me what I write.
Choose to work with beta readers, working
as long as I'm writing.
As close to 10 as possible.
Okay, I found it. Let me fix some small shit. Sounds
just
good,
so
Raymond.
When you get feedback, you can start to look for similarities in the things that people are saying. And if you have one person say, let's say that they, I don't know, hated the relationship between 2 characters, or like hated one scene where they had a big fight, but everybody else said that they loved it, then you know you can probably keep the scene. But if every single one of them tells you that they hated a scene, then maybe you can listen and start to see that maybe that might not be the best thing to include. Some authors also have alpha readers take a look at their book. The alpha readers will read books when they're even messier than the beta readers, and will sometimes read like a chapter every couple of days, like as the author writes them, and will give feedback like as the author is writing to maybe help motivate somebody to finish a book, or
just why I'm doing this, guys. Well, not motivation. It's to hold myself accountable. Because I'm a procrastinating piece of shit fuck who doesn't do shit.
It's a lot easier for me to just work on my own until I'm ready for beta readers, but some people find alpha reading really helpful. Another type of more informal editing that you can get is a sensitivity read. This is a specific type of, let's say, beta reader that is focused primarily on making sure that your book does not have any harmful stereotypes or
it's a localizer
that people could find offensive. This can be helpful to get if you're writing about very sensitive subject matter, even just for peace of mind, to get somebody else's opinion on the way that you portray things, just to make sure it's as realistic as possible and it's not glamorizing anything or stereotyping anybody It is by no means mandatory. But
All
it
my
is a
characters are
service,
fucking
and there are
stereotypes.
people who offer sensitivity reading if you are interested in getting that for
As a foundation.
So obviously in an ideal world, I would love to get all of these different types of editing, but as I mentioned before, it's expensive to do that, so I don't.
Or you use AI.
I got developmental editing for the first 2 books in my series, and then I stopped.
So what I
get
mainly
line
wanted for this
editing
is,
on every single book that I publish.
when we're using AI, I'm gonna use these 4 steps now. So I'm gonna be like, okay, do a developmental edit, and check, that, and then give me feedback on that, and then I'll be like, all right, and now do a line edit, now do a copy edit, now do a proofreading. So now I know the exact specifics of how to go through those edits. That's what I'm looking for.
Because that is where I feel like I struggle the most. I'm usually pretty confident and happy with my plot construction, because that's my favorite part of writing, and that's really what I love to do. But the actual prose itself sometimes it needs a little TLC. So, who am I kidding? Always needs a little TLC. So I always work with a line editor.
So you're just
find
saying what
typos
she
are part of
does?
My existence. I am amazed by how many.
Let's just
I
skip
do
it here.
find copy
This
editing
doesn't
very
really
helpful.
help.
I just don't always do it. I also this is the
Oh, I forgot to turn
I
TTS
find
on,
that very
Smokey.
helpful. I just don't always do it. But if I'm gonna do one, I will probably invest in the copy editing and then use a software.
Fucked up.
Like
I fucked up, guys! Guys, I fucked up!
Really
1 out of 2! No, Sean, that means it resets! Instead of 0 out of 0!
Sometimes copy editing as a number 2 if I want to. And if I'm feeling a little more unsure about the story, or if it's a book 1 in a proposed series or a planned series, I will do a developmental editor and talk to the developmental editor about my plans for the series.
I'm sorry to ruin you, Smokey.
One supports that series idea.
But I did.
But with the past couple books,
I no, it's a ratio of remember before stream or not. No, because if I forget, Sean, then it just goes back to 0. It's a chain. How many can I get in a row? If I can get 1 in a row, it'll be infinite. So Smokey, we had a new idea. Fuck did I put it? God damn it. It's in here. I want a radio, damn it. How many members versus forgets in 100 days? I have no idea, Sean. So we're gonna do a dead stream thing, and it's gonna be you shooting me. So we'll probably set that up tomorrow. I don't want to fuck around with it right now.
books that I've done,
But
like in the series and then also
That's
outside of the
you've
series,
basically created an
I
entirely
have been
new
working with beta
category
readers, using beta
of
feedback as
shit, Smokey.
developmental editing
Can't shoot
help
you if TTS is
to
off.
guide
But
me
you'll be able to
through.
buy it on the
I
store
can
with your
make a whole
points,
separate
Smokey.
video, and I probably will, about how to choose.
Otherwise,
a
I'm
good
gonna
editor,
dodge your bullets.
because it can be very difficult to find a good editor, and finding a developmental editor who you really like and trust makes all of the difference with that developmental edit. If you don't have a good developmental editor, it's not worth paying for a developmental edit. But that's all
It's
I
cost
have for this video.
$42K.
I hope that it was helpful. If you have a second, I would be super grateful.
Yeah, not so sure about that one.